Good evening, everyone. My name is Luis Berisbedia. I serve as chair of the Historic Districts Commission in Concord. Welcome to the October 5th meeting of the Town of Concord Historic Districts Commission. The commission will review 2 continuances and 2 new applications this evening. We will also conduct some additional business at the end of the meeting. We're conducting this meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. The public may access this call through both telephone and video conferencing. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions following the petitioner's presentation and questions from the commission. To do so, please raise your hand in the participant function of the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you may raise your hand by dialing *9. Our host will mute microphones of those not speaking, and in order to preserve bandwidth, may need to turn off video with the exception of the commissioners, the host, and the current applicant. I will call on each commissioner for comments on an application and then open the meeting for public comment. Once there are no more public comments, I will ask for a motion from the commission to continue, to approve with conditions, or to reject. A second, and conduct a roll call vote. Once the commission has acted on an application, the applicant is free to lead the meeting. We will now do a roll call of the members of the commission. Kate Schartner.
Present.
Walter Clay.
Present.
I understand Dennis Fiore will not be present. William Hewitt will not be present. Catherine Mass will not be present. Melinda Shumway.
Here.
I understand Paul Ware will not be present. Tim Whitney.
Here.
And Luis Berisbedia is here. So voting members will be all members of the Historic Districts Commission that are present. And without any further delay, let's go to the first new public hearing, which is the Concord Museum, 53 Cambridge Turnpike, to replace Signet. I see Lisa Krasner is here. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'm excited to share some of the work we're doing at the museum right now. So I hope everybody saw the package in advance. And as many of you know, the museum has been under a tremendous transformation over the years with our gallery renovations, our new addition or education space, which I'm sure HDC was very involved in. And as we are now working under a new strategic plan and readying ourselves for the 250th, we have taken the opportunity to create a new visual identity and brand for the museum. It's been 20 years since the last branding came out, which is pretty much the lifetime of a brand, the look and feel. So we've taken the opportunity to refresh our look and feel, and also we'll be launching a new website as well. So all of our communication templates and everything will be revised. I did send Anne, there is, if you want a little bit of background about the rebrand, I'd be happy to share it with you. If you just want to jump into the signage, we could do that. I could tick through a few slides and give you a little bit of background about how sort of the brand and logo has evolved, and how we came to sort of the look and feel of where we're at now. It's really up to you, or if you just want to jump into signage.
Well, I think we can jump into the sign, but we're very curious about how it came up. So I think that if you might be able to insert some of that information as you present the actual design, that'd be great.
Okay, so okay, great. So I'll go through, your time is precious, so I will tick through this very quickly, but we worked with a firm called Greenwich Marketing Group. I have history of working with them when I was at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, so it was a firm that I've worked with before. So I can't actually, I don't think I can move the slides. Okay, so the purpose of the work is really to refresh the museum's branding and to capitalize on our multi-year innovation, the upcoming 250th of the American Revolution. And there are 3 goals for the new visual identity. We want our new identity system to be appropriate for the museum and the community. we want it to be memorable. We want it to be something that will stick in people's minds. And we want it to be simple so it can work in small spaces. So much right now is on your phone, on mobile. And we really wanted to make sure that our current logo is actually very complicated for mobile. So the new identity system consists of multiple elements. There's the logo and monogram, there's new typography, a new color palette, and use of some of the museum's objects as well to create some patterns and motifs. Just to give you a little bit of history, the new identity definitely maintains continuity with the past. And the idea is that hopefully this one will remain for another 10 to 20 years. Prior to early on, you could see there was the use of the actual building. And then in 1990 was the first use of the lantern. And then in 2003, the lantern was revamped to what is our current look and feel right now. So we're still going to be using the lantern, but in a slightly more, I think, contemporary way. So the updated visual identity, the monogram is this CM for Concord Museum. And if you're looking for a lantern, it's very much still there. If you're not looking for a lantern, you wouldn't necessarily know. But it's, this works in small spaces, and it still provides us with, kind of a memorable look and feel, but also something that is slightly more, I think, modern. So you could see it locked up with the title of the museum. So you can see with Concord Museum on the side, as well as Concord Museum below. Our primary brand colors are black and white. And then we, in addition, have a secondary brand color, an accent color, which is a warm red. And we're using a sans serif font called Euclid Flex, which you're probably familiar with, have seen. And let me show you a few application examples. This first one is in your package. This is what we're bringing to you in terms of new signage. And the one thing I will say is that we're using the same sign holder, the same suspension, the same lighting. It's just the actual sign itself is the piece that we're looking to update. You'll see a snapshot of our new website. So on the left would be a desktop version, on the right would be mobile. More than half of our visitors come to the website via mobile these days. So it has a strong mobile presence, which our current website does not. A little bit more detail on, as you scroll down the web page. And these are some other applications. Here's a little bit of swag, so to speak. You could see use of it in buttons. You could see it as use in a notebook with the CM interlocking, and also with some of our iconic images in a duotone wash. A few other things, some tote bags and some socks. But essentially, this is it in a nutshell, in terms of the logo, the monotype, the new font, the colors, and a few application examples. So I just wanted to kind of run you through that a little bit. It was a very, very light approach, but I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of perspective on this. And this is something that our governors and trustees have seen, of course, as part of our strategic planning effort. We went through a new strategic plan this year, and this was one of the initiatives and objectives in the plan, was to refresh the museum's visual identity. So I will pause and just say that, the piece now is we're looking for is your thoughts on the new replacing the circle we have now with I guess it's a little more of a rectangle, and moving forward with that. I also will let you know, part of the reason I came on the last I came to the September meeting to hopefully socialize some of this with you, was we are looking to launch October 31st, November 1st. The website will go live. So, but here we are. So I'm happy to answer any questions and take your feedback.
Thanks very much, Lisa. Very good presentation. Let's ask the commissioners for comments. Kate.
Oh, I was muted, sorry. I was on the commission when the trustees came before us with a new sign for the old man. I think you were too, Luis. I don't know if anyone else was. I'll
Yes,
move
I
the
remember, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think our primary concern there, as it would be here, were the colors. And I think here the colors are perfectly suitable for the historic district. And the font, while a modern one, is, to me, not overwhelmingly so. So I have no problems with this application.
Thanks very much, Kathleen. Walter?
It strikes me as being a very organic evolution of the design, and it's contemporary and in a way that won't be timeless, but will certainly be timely and should carry on for a while. So I'm perfectly happy. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Walter. Melinda?
I agree with my fellow commissioners. I think it will stand out more than the past logos have, and it's very sophisticated without being in any way over the top, is all I can say. I think it's great.
Thanks very much, Melinda. Tim?
Yeah, I would agree with the other comments as well. I think it was beautifully presented, and I really like the design.
Thank you.
And I have no other comments yet to echo all the comments of my fellow commissioners. Are there any public comments on this application? Well, if there are no public comments, I will ask the commission for a motion to approve with conditions, to reject or to continue the application of the Concord Museum for a new sign.
I move to approve the application of the Concord Museum for the updating and refresh of their signage.
Second?
Second?
Who is seconding?
I'm happy to second.
No, I don't have for some reason I don't see everybody. I'm just, oh, there you are. We're hiding. Okay, I'll ask for a vote. Kate?
Aye.
Walter?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. So thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing the new sign. You know, I drive through there every single day, so we'll be watching.
It actually, the color is beautiful next to the brick. It really picks up the colors beautifully. So thank you so much. I appreciate it, and we look forward to rolling it out and sharing it with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next application is Sue and Wong, 1 Sudbury Road, Main Street Historic District, to install gutters and downspouts. Is Mrs. Wong here, or a representative, Mr. Grady, or Mr. Vincent?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Luis. My name's Grady. I work for Adams and Beasley. We're a general contractor in Carlisle, Massachusetts, and we're working with Sue Wen to do some improvements on her historic home at 1 Sudbury Road. And one of those improvements is adding gutters to multiple areas of her home, specifically on the front and on the driveway left side of the house. We've noticed some of the paint on the siding has begun to fail. There's some washout on the ground. And we've also noticed that there are simply no gutters on the home. So we'd like to start doing some improvements to that condition. And one of those is including some gutters on a few strategic areas of the house to manage some of the offlow of the water off the roof. So I have put together a packet of a narrative as well as some overlaid images of where we'd like to install these gutters. These are the mocked up images. That's the front that you can see from Sudbury Road as well as Main Street. And on that top left image, if you would scroll up, you would see that there's just 2 runs, one on the right side of the front of the house, and then that will come down along that front facing wall of the right side. And then one up on the 3rd floor going left with a downspout all the way down to the ground that you can see in image number 2. To maintain a good looking document, that 3rd image was rotated 90 degrees. I apologize, that's the mud room. right off the driveway. And there's a lot of washout there. So we would like to have 2 downspouts with 3 runs of gutters coming off of the main house and then horizontally across the front of the mudroom. And I know Sue-Ann is working with a landscaper, and that is down the road. I don't know what exactly is going to happen with the driveway or the hardscape or anything like that, but we're going to bring downspouts to help manage this water flow to strategic areas so that she can in the future manage it in a way that does not continue to damage the siding as well as the landscape around her home. Also, critical information, we intend to use 5-inch half-round copper gutters. Same with downspouts, copper as well, with hanging rods to hold them up, which I believe is the recommended material per Concord, as I understand it.
Okay, very good. Well, thanks very much for your presentation. I'll ask the commissioners for comments. Let's start with Tim Whitney.
Yeah, my question is just, it looks like some roofs are not getting gutters. It looks like you're guttering just some of the roofs, if I'm reading the photographs correctly.
That's correct. Yes, we're not putting gutters on every single run. We are picking ones that clearly have had some damage done to the siding as well as on the ground underneath. The front specifically has 2 substantial waterfalls coming down right on top of the deck. So rather than go gung-ho and do the whole house, we're just doing the areas that clearly need it. There's no common space outside on the right side of the home, and the porch on the back, as well as just the back of the house, does not seem to need it as much as the front and also the driveway side. If we were to continue and add more in the future, we would be okay with obviously coming back to you and requesting approval for future additions.
And do these tie into dry wells, or are they just dumping on the ground?
Just dumping on the ground right now.
Okay, I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Tim. Melinda.
I have no objections to this. We won't even see the ones on the mudroom side for the most part from the Main Street, and obviously they need this. I think it's fine.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Melinda. Walter.
The question about dry well is the first thing that I thought of as well. Having some experience with copper gutters over the last 1.5 years, 2 years here. If you do just hit the ground, and this is sort of avuncular advice as much as anything. If you do just hit the ground and it's damp up to the foundation of the house, it is an attractant for ants and termites, and you should know that. So the advice that I've gotten several times is to extend the run along the ground to get it away from the house. Otherwise, you're looking at problems as well as washout against the foundation, which could mean coming back to talk to us about replacing porches at some point in 20 years. The other thing that I would say as a suggestion is you might consider going to 6-inch instead of 5-inch, given the amount of rain that we seem to be getting recently, with no telling if that's going to continue. Seriously. It's a considerable difference. Tim, maybe you know better than I, but it's a considerable difference in the carrying capability from 5 to 6, and visually not that much. You know, costs a little bit more money, but it may prove to be well worth it as an investment.
We have been dealing with water issues all over. I totally agree. It's worth considering upsizing for sure. We've been dealing with water issues as a general contractor all over the state.
Yeah, it's no fun.
No.
So as far as putting gutters in and the look of it and copper and all, I'm a big fan. I have no problem with any of that. But I would just suggest that you consider, if you are, as long as you are obviously implementing this, that you look at the maximum return for the effort that you're putting in at this point.
Just to be clear, would you like me to come back to approve a larger gutter size, or would that be acceptable with this group if I were to ask Sue-Ann if she'd like to increase the size?
Not mine to say, but Luis, is that?
Sorry, I became disconnected for a short period.
The question we're being asked as a commission is if the applicant were to go to a 6-inch rather than a 5-inch, is that something that can be done administratively or?
Well, I don't, I think that we should be looking at this the spouts strictly from a aesthetic standpoint to see if they appear, if the difference between 4 and 6 inches is substantially different from a visual standpoint, then I think that would be an issue. If what we prove is 6, but they determine that it's better to have a different size, I certainly think that can be done administratively. But I don't think that it is essential to our commission
I think the
to
question
establish
is just,
the 4 or 6. It certainly can be approved administratively.
right. It's just a dot the i's and cross the t's. That's all.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Thanks very
that's-
much, Walter. Kate.
No questions, no objections.
Thank you very much, Kate. I have only one question. You're saying that you are going to replace some of the gutters, but not all of them. Doesn't mean that there's going to be inconsistencies with the gutters. There's some of them are going to be one type and some others a different type.
We are not intending to replace anything. There's no gutters on the house.
Okay, all right. So you're whenever you see a gutter, it's going to be a copper gutter,
Correct.
and they are going to look the same. Okay. Well,
Correct.
I certainly have no objections, and I think that these are a very good addition to this project.
Thank you very much.
I'll ask for public comments. Are there any public comments about this application? Well, in the absence of public comments, I will ask the commission for a motion to approve with conditions,
Right off and
to
going.
reject or to continue.
I move that we approve the application for 1 Sudbury Road to install the gutters and downspouts as presented.
A second?
A second.
All right, let's do a vote. Kate,
Aye.
Walter,
Aye.
Melinda,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So congratulations and thanks very much for your presentation. We shall
Thank
be
you very
looking
much for
forward
your
to
time.
see your gutters.
Me too, and so is the homeowner.
Well, we have 2 continuances. The first one is Fabio Construction, 3133 Lang, North Richmond Square Historic District, to modify size, massing, features, and materials in order to convert the existing 2-family dwelling into a 1-family dwelling and the existing 3-car garage into an additional dwelling with an addition connecting the 2. And is there a representative of Fabio Construction? Is anyone here to present the application? Well, it doesn't look that the applicant or representative of the applicant is here, so I will make some comments about this application so all commissioners are aware of some issues that have been brought up. One of the issues that was identified is that actually Fabio Construction is not the owner of the site. He's the contractor. So we expected that the owner will be making the presentation or a delegate of the owner. So we believe that it's appropriate that the application be amended such that it's the owner who is making the application. Actually, I believe that this has occurred. But then there are some other discrepancies that I believe prevent this commission for making a determination about this application, which is that from a legal standpoint, what was posted for the public, it's different from what the application actually is. One of those issues is the ownership of the site, and there are some other details that we discussed in our previous application. And I will ask our town planner to confirm and to expand these issues that have been identified. Anne?
Hi, yes. So when the application was first submitted, it described the project as, replacing or, reconditioning the garage and turning it into a second residence. when in fact the proposal is to demolish the garage and build a new residence, and then create a connector between the existing residence and the new one. So the legal ad and the public notice doesn't describe the project that was actually presented by the applicant at the most recent HGC meeting. So that's one issue. And then at the last, and that's a big one, right? Because this, the legal notice doesn't actually map the project. And then the other issue is that at the last meeting, when they did present to you, you all had requested, there were some discrepancies in the drawings, and they have corrected those discrepancies, but the HTC had requested a site visit for clarification and a description of the project, and the applicant was not there at the site visit this morning. But the major, and they did, correct a lot of the discrepancies, but the fact that the legal ad did not match the actual project, and the fact that there was no one there at the site visit to describe the project further, I think that makes it difficult for you all as the commission to understand what they're proposing. And to the public too. It's not fair to the public as well, of course.
Thanks very much. And so could we assert that from an administrative standpoint, this application, it's either incorrect or incomplete, therefore it cannot be considered in our docket, to say so. Because an application was made, but it was made and we assumed that it was a correct application, which we subsequently discovered that was not the case, which then creates an administrative issue in the sense that we cannot approve something that it's not correctly presented. So I believe that administratively we can declare that this application is incomplete, therefore we are not able to consider it, and that we can instruct the applicant to submit a completed application, in which case the clock will start ticking again.
I think you may need to deny it if that's.
Yes, I think we need to deny it.
Okay, well, then.
And I will make that motion.
All right, then if the commissioners want to comment individually, certainly open to that. And if there are any members of the public that want to comment in the application as it stands, then we will welcome public comments. Are there any public comments? Okay, in the absence of any public comments, I'll ask the commission for a motion to approve, deny, approve with conditions, or continue the application of 3133 Lang Street.
I move to vote to deny the application of 3133 Lang Street.
A second?
I will second.
Tim?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
Walter?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. So we will inform the applicant that his application as it stands has been denied, mostly on technical issues, and we'll encourage him or them to submit another application. All right, so we continue to the next continued public hearing, which is the Concord Academy, 166 Main Street. And I assume that Mr. Kingman is here. Is he here?
Yes. Good evening, everybody. Don Kingman, 166 Main Street, Concord.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Just to give a little context of where this project is, this is at 228 Main Street. That is the head of school's residence. And just to the left, if you were your back, to Main Street, is the new driveway to the West Campus project. And we've already planted, you can see in this diagram to the left there is the main driveway that goes in. We've planted those holly bushes alongside that area. And what we're proposing to do is the existing white fence is more of a screening fence. And we'd like to give the head of school a little bit more privacy, knowing that the activity of that area is going to be pretty intense. So what we're proposing to do is behind the holly bushes that are there is to construct a 6-foot high natural cedar fence with 2 gates, one on the far side, on the top of that diagram, another one to the bottom. And it would be 6 foot high, and we want to have it as a natural cedar so that as it ages, it turns into that silvery gray and blends into the background.
All right, well, thanks very much. It's fairly straightforward, so I'll ask the commissioners for comments. And I will start with Walter.
I have no overriding objection. I was curious about the choice of cedar for a material and whether it has antecedents in the area there. I understand the graying out as being an attractive way to do things. Do you have a time frame for how long it takes for raw cedar to gray?
Oh, I sorry, I don't have that.
I would think that would be something you'd want to know.
Well, I mean, we looked at it carefully and said, do we want to paint it, so to speak, to have it be at the body color of the house, which is white? We didn't want to bring attention to the fence. We wanted it to recede and allow the house to stand proud of the landscape. So it's really a conscious decision there to have this fence somewhat blend into the background as it ages.
Yeah, I understand. I don't generally think of cedar as blending into the background, at least for quite a while. But I won't stand on that. I'm fine with the project.
Thanks very much, Walter. Melinda.
I must say, my first take was, after seeing your existing situation, that you didn't just take the white fence and make it a little higher, because I think that's a nice look that you have. Now, I do know that you do a huge amount of research on every single project that you bring before us. So I'm not going to say that I won't vote for cedar, but I am a little curious as to why you decided to switch from the white to the currently brown to be gray.
It gets into a somewhat of a maintenance issue, but that wasn't the driving force. This is a way to have this area here not be focused on the fence and allow it to disappear into the background, if you will, and allow the house to speak, you know, to its presence on the site. We didn't want this the fence to be there. If I went with an 8-foot high fence, it would, I'm not sure I'd recommend that. I think that is high and intimidating. 6-foot high gives the balance of privacy and a little bit of transparency, we think.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Melinda. Kate.
I did. Hi, Don. The fence is behind the plantings on all sides, right?
Yes, it is correct.
That would
yes.
speak more to the, I think, just the natural weathering approach than painted, because I think it would stand out more. You know,
Those hollies we planted those this summer as part of this overall West Campus project, and they're real robust. They're very broad. They're probably 6 to 8 foot high. I think you're going to do a fine job of masking this fence. You're not going to see the brown, so to speak, of a virgin cedar fence sticking out. There's going to be a lot of vegetation in between there that's going to mask this.
and it's red cedar.
Boy, now you're at, I don't know if it's red or white, to be honest with you. I'm sorry.
I thought it was white cedar.
I believe it's white also.
Okay. Yeah, that'll age pretty quickly. I have no objections.
Thanks very much, Kate. Timothy.
Yeah, I would, Dawn, do you have other precedents of this aging cedar fence anywhere on campus?
No. No, I don't.
I would agree with you. I think it will take some time for it to gray out, but having the 6-foot wall continue, I think, does detract from the house. So that's so my opinion is the gray over time is the right decision. It's a little bit of a long deadly fence, if you will. But you're trying to get privacy, and I understand that. And I think whether it's red or white cedar, it's kind of gray out over time. And hopefully it'll last longer than 20 years. I mean, cedar's not the longest lasting material. It's good, but it's not great. But I personally think letting it gray and not painting it white will make it less obtrusive. I'm just didn't know if there was, with no precedent, even though it's behind planting, it's a long fence. I'm not going to object to it. I'm just making the comment that it's a lot of fence wall to be stared at. And
well, I think it's important to remember that the fence line already goes along the Main Street side, which is the predominant view that you have. And we're looking to extend that down the driveway, that as you get further into campus, you don't get to see that from the public way.
I appreciate that. And so it's not a big concern. I'm just making a comment. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Tim. I want to build on Tim's comments, which says that it was a long fence, a long wall. And I don't have any significant objections, but I do have a aesthetic one, which is that, the Concord Academy, it's a very welcoming environment everywhere you look, and everywhere you go, there's something interesting to see. And if your eyes suddenly land into this huge solid wall, then I'm sure those eyes are going to be disappointed. So my only observation would be whether you would consider putting some kind of ornamental element in order to break the monotony of the fence itself, like having like a little square on the top, or a little transparent grid on the very top, which certainly would not detract from the purpose of the fence, which is to achieve privacy. But it will sort of it will humanize the fence to that extent. You see, right now it looks like something very solid, very uninviting, something that says that what's going behind that fence, it's not for you to even know about. See, so I think that would be an addition. But I don't know if you want to consider that, or this is something that it's difficult to implement. But that's my only observation. I'm going to ask for public comments. Are there any public comments? In the absence of public comments, I don't know if Don wants to make any other additional comments before we ask for a vote.
I just comment on your comment there. I'm not sure it's a standard, but we do have I think it's 5 to 6 foot high, a solid fence with a lattice work on top. Again, we're elevating that, so we're trying to balance, I think, to give privacy, but also allow some transparency there. So we don't want to have the fence draw attention to itself, and that's why we chose the height and the makeup of the material itself.
Okay, well, I think that it's, from my perspective, it's not a substantial issue, so I don't think that there's any problem, and I believe that it's going to weather out, and always going to be able to know that it's actually there. So I'll ask the commission for a vote to approve with conditions, to continue, or to deny the application of Concord Academy.
Oh, wait, one more point though, Luis. I
Sorry.
thought the same thing. I don't usually like closing off the sight lines of open space, but the greater length of the fence is running along the driveway to the new arts center, and I don't know to what extent that's visible from the public way anyway.
It is visible, but it's a limited glimpse, if you will. And again, there's those holly trees, which I think are in the number of 10 or 12, planted pretty close side by side there. They're really providing the screening.
Mm-hmm.
That's the visual part you would see first from the public way.
Right. And sorry, I don't have it open right now. Don, the length of the fence running along the street.
Oh, existing, I'm going to say 30 feet. I'm sorry, I don't have it open
25,
either.
30 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so really,
So,
you're
over 40 feet total.
But it's already a pre-existing fence, so it's already screening that visual connection.
But that's what, a 3.5-foot fence is there?
No, that's a 6-foot fence.
Existing.
No, the existing fence is 6 feet?
Yes,
So you're just replacing that. You're not going to 7 feet.
I'm replacing that and then going parallel to that driveway on this
Oh, okay.
diagram. On the inside, if you will, towards 228 Main Street would be the wooden fence that I'm proposing.
Which is 6 feet.
Correct.
Okay,
So from a visual standpoint, the existing fence is 6 feet. It happens to be painted white. This fence, we're looking to have it be a natural. There is no other dimensional changes.
okay, all right, got that straight, sorry. Okay, thanks. While I'm at it then, I move that we vote to approve the application of Concord Academy fence construction as submitted.
Second,
Second,
Walter,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Melinda,
Hi,
Tim,
aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So thank you very much. When is your next presentation? A couple of weeks or so, or you know?
No, we're in good shape right now. Just a little side note is, the houses have been moved. They're all occupied. The landscape is in and it looks spectacular. Everybody's very happy about that. And we're starting on the foundation work right now, for the Centennial Arts Center. We're still looking at somewhere in the spring of 25 that project will be complete.
Oh, thanks very much. We all look forward to see the project as it evolves.
Thank you for your support.
All right, so we are going to go to other business. The first one is a certificate of appropriateness amendment number 2316 and 286 Barrett's Mill Road. Change in clapboard color from Benjamin Moore to Hawthorne yellow to simply white. Do we have some information about that change, Ms. Clifford?
Yes, this is Jeff Capello. I'm the contractor representing the Fredette family.
Oh, perfect. Welcome.
Thank you. I was here not so long ago. And we did some updating to the front facade, and it was there was a bunch of rotted wood we replaced. And it was our intent at the time to keep the color as it existed. Otherwise, I would have brought this up then. I'm sorry. But now the homeowners decided they'd like to change the color. And that's why I'm here today.
Okay, and what would be the color that is going to be substituted?
Simply white. It's just like a generic white.
Okay, but do you have any samples or any swatches or anything like that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I actually didn't know this required a full presentation, or I would have done another packet. I had previously done a packet.
No, we're not asking a presentation. We're just trying to get as much information as possible. But certainly, because there are like 40 different flavors of white.
Yeah.
Is this white color something that's on the list of approved colors, Mrs. Clifford?
Yes, I was just about to say that the homeowner did come in and looked through the HTC booklet of approved colors, and this was one of them.
Okay.
Okay.
So I would not believe that there are any issues with this application, but I will look forward to this amendment. But I look forward to comments from the commissioners. So I'll start with Kate.
Simply white is a slightly warm white. It's nice. It's not a cold or gray white. But Jeff, are the shutters going to remain the same color? Is that black or green black?
It's the green that we color matched. So we only bought half of the new shutters. So it's the shutter color that's on the house now.
Yeah.
Stays the same. We only replaced half of them, and we're not painting them.
Okay. Okay. No objections.
Thanks very much, Kathleen. The water.
I'm personally more a fan of the Benjamin Moore complexity white than simply white, but I think it's just fine.
Thank you, Walter. Melinda.
I have no objections.
Tim.
Could I just see the photo of the house again? If that's possible. Okay, thank you. No, I have no comments.
And I have no comments either. So I think this will be fine. So I will ask for a vote from the commission to amend the certificate of appropriateness number 2316. And I'll go through the screen. Tim?
Sorry,
I'm
are we
asking for a
voting?
vote. I'm asking
Is
for
this
a
a
vote
vote?
to approve the amendment.
Sorry, yeah, aye.
Walter?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. So the amendment is approved. And we shall see the White House.
Thank you so much.
All right. The second issue of the other business is the Concord Free Public Library. I believe that this refers to a big arch that was installed in the junction between Main Street and Sudbury Road. Is this correct, Ms. Clifford?
Sorry, yes, that's correct.
Okay. And are there any issues that we don't know about other than I believe that the problem is that this was installed, even if it's a temporary installation, there's a requirement that this be approved by the HCC, and it wasn't. It was not presented, etc. There was no application made to install this structure. I'm still correct, Ms. Clifford, correct? Is that right?
That's right. In the past, though, the HCC has reviewed temporary art installations under other business. I think last year you reviewed doors, although I wasn't here for the first review of the door installation. So in any case, the library did decide, they did reach out and they did correct and did, ask that you all. They submitted a letter and asked that you all review the art or the
The arch.
Art, yes.
Okay. So let me ask for clarification. Aren't we supposed to receive an application for a temporary installation and then discuss it with public comments and a formal meeting and public notice and so forth, even if it's temporary?
Let's see. It's not entirely clear to me. I know that with the door installation, the one that I saw, there was no, I don't believe there was a formal application. It was done under other business, but there may have been a formal application the first time it went before the HDC.
Okay.
So I suppose technically I should look into that further, and I apologize.
Yeah, because my recollection is that every time that there has been a temporary installation, and the one that I remember the most is the one that was done by demands, where there was a structure that lasted about 6 months or so, and then was dismantled after that. And that went through a whole process of public comments and discussion, and it was approved for 6 months. So I would believe that this would fall into the same category, where they would have to make an application for a temporary installation. So
Yeah.
I don't think that we can sort of give our imprimatur to this arch without having an application for a temporary structure. And if I'll ask the commissioners for comments on this matter. So I'll start with Melinda.
I agree, because we have no idea how long they plan to keep this up. It is a nice reminder of the 150th anniversary, and I don't think it's appropriate. I just want to know that it's not going to be there for a year and a half. And I'd like to know when they plan to take it down.
Okay, thanks very much, Melinda. Kate.
I agree. I'd like to know when I would like to hear about it, because to be honest, I don't know how I feel about something like that in front of the library. I just noticed it today for the first time and thought, oh, wait a minute. So I would want to hear more about it and, you know, would not be in a position at the point to approve it after the fact, frankly.
Thanks very much, Kathleen. Walter.
I pretty much agree there. What we did have for paper had a reference to a photo as well that didn't show up, at least for me. So even that seemed to be not all the T's crossed and the I's dotted. But I think it's all well and good to just say, oh yeah, everything's fine, but it is potentially setting a poor precedent, especially given the fact that they're liable to be in the next year or year and a half, quite a few applications or should be applications for such things as we get closer to 2025. I'm not sure how that falls in terms of what needs to be done in what time frame to give us that application, but I would like to see one.
Thanks very much, Walter. Tim.
I don't have any comments to add. I agree with the other comments.
Okay, I agree with all members of the commission. I think that this is a structure that needs to be approved if it's temporary. So I will ask for a vote that we deny administrative approval of this structure and that we ask the applicant, the Concord Public Library, to make an application for a temporary structure. May I have that motion?
I move that we seek, I'm not going to get the right verbiage here, seek submission of this project for review, correct? That's what we're asking.
Oh, from a formal application.
Formal
for
application for the public library temporary arch.
A second?
Second,
Kate,
yes, aye.
Walter,
Aye.
Melinda,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
and I'm an as well. So I'll coordinate with Ms. Clifford, our town planner, to send a letter to the Concord Public Library asking them to submit an application for a temporary structure. The next item in our agenda, in our many times reviewed agenda of other business, is the Concord Historic Preservation Projects. And I will yield to Ms. Clifford, who has a lot of very important information to present about what's going on. Keep in mind that we are just about a year and a half or less than the first shot heard around the world, or the shot heard around the world. Please go ahead, Ms. Clifford.
And I just did want to follow up a little bit on the library issue. They realized that they had made a mistake and reached out to us quickly. And I said, well, we can get you right on the agenda. So just to make you all aware that, they apologize and they do want to fix it. So I'm sure they're very open to submitting a full application. So in any case, so there are two historic preservation projects. There's the one that we applied for last year to CPC and funding came through on July 1st. We've been and then we also received a grant from Mass Historical Commission, a matching grant to do a historic preservation plan for the town of Concord, a community-wide plan. And the bids are finally in. And we've made a recommendation, which is currently being reviewed by Mass Historical Commission. I guess I probably shouldn't announce what the recommendation is yet until that's been approved. But we're eager to begin. And the group that is the recommended bidder, they also included in their proposal that they would work closely with the HDC as well as the other stakeholders, but they really singled out the HDC since you all are obviously such an essential part of historic preservation in this community. And he was the one of the three bidders who really recognized that, which surprised me since you all have been here since 1960 and have done such great work. You even preceded the Historical Commission. So thank you all. So that's that. And then the second project is a historic preservation survey. Most historical commissions routinely update their survey forms, but it's actually been decades since Concord has done that. And when these survey forms were done back in the 1990s, the internet hardly existed. And of course, there were no resources like Ancestry.com, and newspapers were not searchable at that point. And of course, the field of historic preservation has evolved too. And, there's a real push to be more inclusive in the stories that are told. We sort of hoped that the plan would be further along at this point, and that the plan would inform which survey we begin with. But the fact that 2025 is coming up so quickly, it seemed obvious that we really want to focus on the pre-1775 structures, since those were the witness structures that, of course, everyone talks about and are such a big part of the historic districts. And so telling a more complete story of those structures, of course, is very important. And it's even come up so many times over the past year. Did this structure stand in 1775 or did it not? And those questions really do make a difference in evaluating what happens to the structure. So it's not just something that informs interpretation of them for the public, but also informs the decisions of the HDC and demolition reviews too. So in any case, I submitted that application for the CPC deadline on September 8th. The funding, if they approve, would become available not till July 2024, which doesn't leave us much time, but still, we do think it's worthwhile pursuing this, and we do hope that the HDC would submit a letter of support for that proposal.
Thanks very much, Anne. I just wanted to mention to the members of the commission that one of our important roles is to have a say and to have a voice and to be able to implement the concerns and the visions that we collectively have. And the only way to accomplish that is to have the support of as many members, not only of the community of Concord, its citizens, but also of all the other commissions and institutions that are pursuing similar goals. And I think that this is a very important partnership and a very important event in our in our journey, in the sense that we are being able to have a voice and to have a say on the things that we really care about, which is to preserve the historic references of the town of Concord. It sometimes translates into determining whether we're going to put copper or fiberglass gutters, but some other times it has issues that are of great significance and great weight. So I want to recognize Anne Clifford for having set the environment by which these things can happen and will happen, and I trust that they will continue to happen, and that our commission will have even more say on the historic direction of our town. The next topic of the other business, it's Town of Concord request regarding guidelines for a temporary art installation on parcel 1693. I'll try to give you a real quick summary of what is parcel 1693. Parcel 1693 is the space currently occupied by a parking lot, which is behind Van der Vanter and in the corner of Main and the Monument Square. You see there's a driveway that goes into the parking lot. That is space between, is it the church? I don't remember the name of the church, but in that corner, there's a little space which is parcel 1693. It belongs to the town of Concord. And there's a small budget, or at least there's the intention to have a budget to build a park there. And one of the things that is being considered, it's a temporary art installation. So we were approached by Mimi Graney, the economic vitality manager, on September 25, stating that they anticipated temporary public art in the parcel 1693. I'm reading for the specific letter. The program's goal is to foster a community of practice that creates more vibrant and equitable public spaces through art making. And the precise purpose of the letter was the last paragraph says, I would like to communicate the HTC's interest within the call for art. Should the HTC have evaluation criteria, requirements on materials, and guidance on the types of creative expression it would consider inappropriate? For example, lighting, projections, soundscapes, temporary structures. Please share these details by October 25, 2023 to allow time to integrate these details within the call as appropriate. So basically what they're saying is that they're going to make a call for temporary art that they're going to propose to install there, and they're going to have to go through us, and they want to know what are we going to approve, what are we not going to approve. Of course, it's a humongous task to figure out what are the principles, you see, and of course, it's very difficult to say that this is what we're going to like or this is what we're not going to like. It's a difficult task because it's very fluid. So what Ms. Clifford and I did was that we created, or we made a little set of purposes, or perhaps aspirations. I don't know exactly what's the word to use. But if you go to there it is. That's a call for art draft response to request for HTC guidance. See, this is a document that Anne and I prepared, mostly Anne, where we establish some general principles of things that we believe it would be matters of consideration. See, there are some things. They are under various headings: preservation of historic integrity. It must be temporary. It should follow national and local guidelines. It has content and community engagement. There has to be there must be an application that goes through the HTC to be approved. All the permissions are in the hands of the applicants. There's a limited duration. The maintenance is in the part of the applicant. So these are sort of general principles that we collected, but I'm presenting them to you, hoping that you will be able to read the document and then to add your observations or the matters that you believe are important. And all the time, keeping in mind that we cannot present this document as saying, these are our guidelines, and if you follow these guidelines, it will be approved. None of that. What we're doing, it's a set of suggestions of what would be positive aspects of a temporary art application, and what are the things that we would care about. But that doesn't mean that we have to approve it if they follow each one of the points that we're suggesting, and we're going to be making that perfectly clear. We have a deadline of October 25 to send these feedback. So if any of you or all of you have a chance to comment on these, that would be great. And if you have any questions right now, of course, please.
Can we
go
say
ahead.
specific things like no neon?
I think that'd be fine. The problem is that you're going to get into trouble with a brilliant artist that only
I can do
works
that.
on
That's all
neon.
right. I've worked with them before. I can do that. I'm up to that task. No neon. I mean, I could have a whole list of prejudices and problems. I put them all out there and let you sift through them, Luis.
Oh, Kate. Okay.
Nothing
There-
inspired by Salvador Dali.
There are sometimes nothing by Salvador Dali.
No,
No
nothing
Picasso.
inspired by Salvador Dali.
Inspired. Okay. Nothing inspired by Picasso. No abstract art.
No, abstract art's okay.
Oh, but could you define what abstract art? Oh, no. Let's not go there.
All right. I'll look
All
it up.
right. So any other comments? I like to think that we're going to be fine.
I personally, I think this is tricky, actually. What are you going to say? The lumens aren't going to be too bright, you know, if it stands. I'm a little nervous about the time frame. I think it'll be hard for us to shoot things down because it's, you know, everybody's got a different perspective of what kind of art they like. But if we really hate it, I think 6 months is too long. I think 3 months would be just fine, maybe 4 months, but I think 6 months. And then remember, we got into all that trouble at the where they put that artwork up over by the bridge, and then the grass all died underneath and it looked terrible, and they were supposed to fit. I just think 6 months is way longer than it needs to be. But I think overall it's tricky. I'm not against it, but I think we will find that there will be people complaining about what they don't like and this and that. And if you keep it to a short time frame, maybe we won't have to hear so much, either nay or yay. So anyways, that's my comment.
Luis,
Tim, go ahead, please.
I may have missed it. Is this just for one piece for a certain period of time, or is this for several pieces over
No.
several periods of time?
This is space that they will use for temporary art installations, and they want to know what are we going to approve and we're not going to disapprove. So
there could be something there continuous. You could have something, whatever time frame you put, it'll be replaced by something else, and then something else, and then something else.
Well, but for each replacement, there will have to be a new application, and we will approve as an HTC all the applications for installing anything. And the time period would be limited to any number of months or days, or for that matter. And at the end of that period, then the installation will have to be removed. And if they want to put something else, they have to submit another application. And we have to discuss it, and we have to approve it or deny it.
Yeah, it is a tricky one. I have no idea what the HTC history is with this stuff, but I can see how you can get a lot of different responses to whatever we decide, both yes and no.
You want to comment, Walter?
Well, I think a danger, it seems to me, is that there will be a selection process with a committee for what piece of art makes it to be presented to the HTC, and then puts the HTC in the position of essentially having veto power over the committee of artists choosing art. So if it takes, I don't know what their time frame is, if it takes them 3 months to decide on a piece and it's shot down for the reasons that the HTC deems appropriate, then we end up doing another 3-month selection process, I would think, subject potentially again to the same lack of conformity with the HTC requirements. It's certainly fraught. But I will just say about art, you know, I know it when I see it.
Well, I have to say that I think that you hit the nail on the head, in the sense that they're saying, what would be the reasons for the HCC not deeming it appropriate? So really what we're trying to find out here are what are the reasons that drive us to say that something is appropriate or inappropriate. See, and that goes at the very heart of what we are as a commission. In the sense that, we're deciding whether this structure is appropriate or inappropriate. Appropriate for the purpose of what? Well, preserving the history of Concord, or preserving the ability to evoke the history of Concord. So let's say that there's a famous artist that wins the prize, and then they come over to us and they say, we want to put this up, and we say no. Then we have to say no, why? And what would be that why? That why is because it would not fulfill the expectations of us as a commission in terms of fulfilling the needs, the historic needs of Concord, to say so. So we need to figure out what is that we want, what is that we're legislating about.
Or is it that it doesn't look like what would have been there 200 years ago?
Well, that's one perspective. You see, another perspective is that this looks like something that 200 years from now, somebody's going to say, how interesting these guys were doing 200 years ago. So you cannot be stuck in one particular time period. So history is not something that lives in a freezer.
No.
History is something that it's evocative, and that you have objects that evoke a lot of history and are very historical, and they are not necessarily contemporary to the history that they are evoking. So that's the reason that the HTC is interesting. All right, so it's Thursday. By Tuesday, I would like to have a 1,500-page essay by everybody. At any rate, the important thing about this is that this is going on. I think that is an important issue, and that it has landed in our laps because it should. And I'm very happy that it has. And I think that we should raise to the challenge of providing some guidelines. And guidelines are not stipulations, they are not rules, and they are not bargains. So we can always say no. But when we say no, we need to know exactly why we're saying no, which is the best part. Okay, any other comments about this issue? Interesting. Well, I'm going to try to figure this out real quick because we have two more items to discuss, which is, actually one more item to discuss, which is the matter of HCC appointments, member appointments. As we know, we worked through the whole spring and summer, et cetera, and we came up with a number of changes that we wanted to make to the guidelines for administration. And at the end of the day, the attorney of the town said that all the suggestions were sound, made perfect sense, but that somebody could come up and say that they were in conflict with the enabling legislation. Therefore, his suggestion was change the enabling legislation, which is a much more complicated process. So the guidelines that we were proposing were very ambitious. The essence of the guidelines was that the time of service of each commissioner was going to be determined by the time of service of the commissioner itself and not of the nominating entity. So we would eliminate the issue of somebody resigning after 1 year and then being substituted by another person who serves for 2 years, and then we get a third person that serves for 2 years, and then he goes, et cetera, et cetera. So what, and again, this was conversations with our town planner, Mrs. Clifford. So we water down the whole thing to the things that are most important to us, which are to be able to nominate and to keep people for 5 years after they are appointed, and that to be able to change the affiliation of commissioners from one nominating entity to another. So I'm going to call your attention to section 2.3 of the guidelines for administration. That's a document that may be found in the website. And section 2.3 was already changed last November of 2022 by a majority vote of the commissioners. And we added a text that in the document, the text that is underlined, or that's when vacancies for unexpired terms occur, the nominating process remains the same. Nominations for full members can include current associate members. That was to go against one particular sentence in the guidelines for administration that says that they could only be from the same nominating entity, which really limited the number of candidates you could appoint and force all other candidates to leave the commission whether they like it or not. So what we are adding, we're keeping the paragraph 2.3 exactly the same, and we're calling it 2.3a. We're adding paragraph 2.3b, which is the 5-year terms of associate and full membership shall be determined by the members' total time served on the commission in that capacity. That means that if you are appointed on year 1 as an associate member, you are expected to, or you can expect to serve 5 years in the commission. And in order to accomplish that, we may have to switch commissions, so the affiliation of any member with a nominating entity can maybe change at any time, only to the extent that such change or affiliation is expressly approved by the nominating entities. We're not going to change somebody nominated by the public library to the Concord Museum and vice versa. We will speak to both entities and seek and obtain their approval. So the issue is, well, how come we can just say that we're going to do this? Well, the reason we can do it is because in the enabling legislation, there's a paragraph that says the Historic Districts Commission will establish such rules or regulations as it deems necessary in order to accomplish its goals or to discharge its mandate. So from that perspective, we're entirely in our right to make a change to the guidelines for administration, which is not a document dependent on the enabling legislation. It doesn't have to go to City Hall, it doesn't have to go to City Hall, it doesn't have to go to Beacon Hill, because it's just an administrative guideline. So what I would like to do, and that's the reason that I'm presenting this, is that in a future meeting, I'm going to ask the commission to vote for this and to put it in the guidelines for administration. And the same way that we did a year ago when we added the paragraph that was mentioned before, we want to incorporate this language and then just let the select board know that we did this. And I don't believe that there are going to be substantial objections, because basically what has been going on so far, and actually that was the argument that the attorney gave to say just forget about the whole thing, is that the select board has been doing exactly that. I just sent a letter to the select board asking for Dennis Fiore to be appointed until such and such, and there are 2 more letters going on asking for commissioners that were appointed a year ago and were under limited terms because of substitution and things like that. And the select board has always done it, and actually they have praised our initiative in doing that, and they have praised the candidates, and they said that everything is great. So I don't believe that they're going to have a substantial objection. And for town meeting 2024, I am working to present a warrant that will ask for changes in the enabling legislation, so all these administrative guidelines become law. There are some other issues in that sense, because by the suggestion of Henry Dane, which is the chair of the select board and our liaison, he wants to add 1 paragraph which may be controversial, which is that if an applicant decides to engage in legal action against the HDC, that applicant cannot have any application heard by the HTC until the matter is resolved. And that came by his own initiative. And of course, we all know what was the inspiration for that. But, I think it's worth shooting for that. So what I'm doing right now, it's creating a town warrant where we're going to ask for all these things. So what we decided in the guidelines, it will be similar or will be supported by the enabling legislation if we are able to pass that town warrant and Beacon Hill approves it. So that's my long-winded explanation of what we're doing. I will ask in a future meeting that the commission, hopefully with a greater representation that the skeleton crew we have tonight, approves these changes, and in the same way that we did in November 2022, incorporate into the guidelines and keep going forward after that. Comments, observations, flaws, please.
Sounds good. Thank you. I'll say it again if it will.
It's a real speechless.
Gobsmacked, Luis. It was so beautiful. Actually, can you read me Henry's proposed provision one more time?
Henry's provision, I don't have it over here, but I can look at, I can find it. Let's see. It may take a little while because my Concord HTC
Oh, it doesn't
folder.
have, you don't have to read it, but if you could.
No, you see, let's see. I even forgot where. I'll find it. I'll find it. Proposed changes for appointed. That's the version from June 2023.
Really?
It has 7 pages and has a nice index. Let's see.
What you
There's one addition that I have to make, which I will make it very briefly because I think that we need to really do, which is the next point of the same presentation. But when Henry says, where is it? See,
I'm sure you can just convey the spirit of it again.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
Yeah, well, it's somewhere here, but I have tons and tons of and I know that I put it somewhere, but it may be on a letter to Henry. Let's see if
That's
I
the
can.
controversial part.
Well, it's controversial, and that's the reason that I think that it's worth let me see if this is my last effort to change it. Okay. Articles to be added. These are the appeals of decisions. He has some technical matters. He's an attorney, so he made some technical issues. And this is his wording. A new application for the same structure or improvement may not be accepted, A, while a prior application is pending before the commission or under judicial appeal.
Oh, okay.
Or B, for a period of 2 years after the issuance of certificate of denial by the commission, unless the commission finds as a preliminary matter that the new application is significantly different from that subject to the previous denial. the modification of a structure or improvement under a pending application in response to advice received from the commission shall not be considered a new application. That it's almost verbatim from what happened back in June.
Mhm.
And that was his memo, to say so.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
I found it. I'm proud. So the bottom line is that this is cooking, and you know, we should be able to have a consensus on these. And if we don't have it, then we shouldn't do it, you see. And that's the reason I'm asking in the open that everybody express the concerns that they may have. And I'm not trying to ambush everybody by saying, well, we have to vote right now, we have a quorum, so go ahead. You know, I don't know, that's not the case. But in a future meeting, I will do just that. Okay, so looks like everybody is speechless.
I was just gonna say, as much as I understand it, Luis, it sounds very good to me.
Mm. A lot of work.
All right, so there's a final issue, which is, well, there are minutes, but minutes we can breathe through. You may be aware that there's something called APP number 10 in the town of Concord, which controls the appointment process of every commissioner in every commission in the town. Of course, the Historic Districts Commission, it's not covered by APP number 10 because APP number 10 is superseded by any enabling legislation. So our enabling legislation says what it says. And in fact, when I made the proposals and they were reviewed to the attorney, one of the points, number 5, was compatibility with the town of Concord APP number 10. And it says the policy requirement, well, etc. The section 7B1 says that the policy to be followed is to be followed unless otherwise prescribed by statute, town meeting vote, or specific committee charge. Our appointment process is prescribed by statute, which is the Historic Districts Act of 1960. Which supersedes the local regulation, which is APP number 10. But APP number 10 is not anything inappropriate. You see, APP number 10 is just a good document that tries to put some logic in the way that people are appointed. So, in fact, what we have been doing is basically following APP number 10 when we make all these changes in appointing entities and things like that. So one of the issues that we're going to be working is trying to make our rules be compatible with APP number 10. So they fall into APP number 10. So that settles the issue of appointment. And then we have minutes, June 1, July 6, and July 20th. If anybody had any chance to read them, say so. Otherwise, hold your peace. I read them and I didn't find anything wrong with them. They are actually are interesting read because they are the barns in Liberty Street and all kinds of things that are very interesting. I didn't see anything wrong with them.
I saw 2 very minor things, but as you know by now, I see the very minor things.
Well, but if you see minor things, you should correct it and submit them.
720, the discussion of 54 Lexington Road, there is what looks to probably be a typo essentially, but there's a reference to Mr. Shartner followed by a proper reference. So that's just something that should be struck for smoothness and continuity there. And then in reading something, and I believe it was the next set, about the Civil War monument. I was quoted as asking for an omission possibly to be readdressed, and it should actually be redressed. Again, very minor, but 50 years from now, why would you want to readdress that? No, you want to redress that. That's all.
Yeah. for excess of an A, the kingdom was lost.
Well, yeah,
That's
that
right.
sort of thing.
Or was it a nail that the kingdom was lost?
For want of a horse, a nail was lost.
Or lack of a nail. All right, so can we approve these minutes with the amendments or with the corrections made by Walter? Do we have consensus on that?
Yes.
Okay, may I have a motion?
I move that we approve the 3 recent minutes as submitted.
Second?
Second,
Okay.
Tim,
Aye.
Walter,
aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Melinda,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So they're approved with the corrections stated by Mr. Clay. And what else? Wow, nothing else. Will you believe that?
Hi. Hi.
It's only an hour and a half. Well, I will need a motion to adjourn, though, you know, if I don't hear that motion, then you're gonna have to watch me eating some pork tenderloin that I have in the oven.
I move we adjourn.
Linda's not taking any chances. Second that.
Second. Okay, voice vote, aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you so very much. Have a very nice evening. I'll
Thanks,
see you
Louise.
in a
Thanks,
couple of weeks.
Ann.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Luis.